It was terrible. I was asked out of school because of a school fee, and because my parents could not afford that, then I joined EducAid.
I lost my father during the Rebel War, so I attended primary school and JSS 1, 2, 3. So just after that, my mother was a petty trader. She can't afford to pay for me to further in SS level. So I decided to leave school. I was just carrying load for people at Waterloo markets. So that's all I was doing because I was thinking there was not hope for me to pursue my education. So I was just roaming about in the streets, sleeping in the marketplaces. So that's how I normally live my life.
In 2004, I lost my adopted parents. You don't mind me having tears. I lost him, and there was no one to pay my fees. And then they asked us out because we are supposed to pay 75,000 loans in a year, and I was unable to raise that money to pay. And then I left school.
EducAid is trying to provide education to youngsters who would otherwise not be able to access education, at least not access it meaningfully, as in getting the sort of education that will get them past grades, that will get them out of poverty. Most of our youngsters are from very poor backgrounds. Among them, we have youngsters who were gang members and living on the streets, earning their lives with all sorts of thuggery and violence. All sorts of youngsters with very difficult backgrounds. We've got children whose parents are in prison. We've got children whose parents have been mixed up in all sorts of criminal activities. When they get to us, that's where they can put that behind them and move forwards.
We have vision for our kids, really. We have great vision for them. That is why, in the first place, when we are training them, we are training them to be perfect Sierra Leoneans. We have educated Sierra Leoneans, doctors, professors, they are stakeholders, they are politicians, etc., etc. But if you look to what they are doing, it's contrary to their titles, to their education. So sometimes we do doubt, what type of education is that? So education is real. So we are thinking about real education. Education that can inject the concept of citizenship in you, that can make you be a patriot, that can give you a good heart, that can transform you completely. So you always be thinking about a good Sierra Leone, a better Sierra Leone, not just me, but us.
It was one of the straws that broke the camel's back for the war to start, was he told everybody that education was a privilege, not a right. It is clearly still that in the elite's mind here. In a context where we are nearly the only, if not the only, free secondary schools in the country, and yet with the most vulnerable children, with the children with the most disrupted education to date, before they get to EducAid, we are getting the highest results. So in a country where at primary level, it's in the sort of 50-60% pass rate. At junior secondary level, around 40% pass rate each year. At senior secondary, it's at 10, 12, 14% each year pass rate. And EducAid, it's 95 to 100% consistently every year, because we prepare our teachers properly, because our teachers work with a real commitment and a difference in attitude. They love the children they're working with, they love the work that they're doing, they are conscious that they were there yesterday. So our fees are excellent attendance, excellent behaviour and excellent effort. Doesn't matter how poor you are, you can pay.
The big challenge we have is, leadership in various fields, leadership in management, leadership in the social science, in administration, leadership in agriculture, leadership in finance. And so we as a university, we want to build on that and work on that.
We've always found working with EducAid students to be a pleasure because they are taught to teach themselves. It's not just that they know their history and they know their mathematics, but they know how to learn what they don't know. So they make very fine students. So currently the university is also working with EducAid on a new certificate in leadership. A university level qualification that's meant to give people not just the knowledge and the practical skills, but also the discipline, the ethical commitment, and the honesty that they need to really transform their society to succeed in the 21st century. EducAid provides the highest quality secondary education available in Sierra Leone. Miriam Mason-Cisse, the head of EducAid, is probably the best educator in Sierra Leone presently. EducAid is typically able to produce pass rates on the university entrance examination for its students of above 95%, at times reaching 99% in some years. The national average for the university entrance exam is that below 20% of students will pass.
The EducAid students, have a focus, they have a vision, they come from a different background. They know they have to work. And I know Marian is behind them, pushing them to achieve and to work for the common good, to give back to society. So in a way they are unique and they are special.
Another thing that was the greatest impression was their method of teaching. We used to this of our traditional method where teachers go to the blackboard and stand there and fill the whole board with notes and then allow you to copy that at the end of the day you don't even understand. But when I came to EducAid, it was different. In fact, the first few months, it was difficult for me to actually get used to the system. But as time went by, it became used to me, and I loved it because the system was so much kind of helpful that you learn for yourself and then just get some few instructions from the teacher.
EducAid is far more different with other schools because in EducAid we have different way of learning. You will not see a teacher standing in front of the blackboard. No, EducAid, we did not do that. We have our materials, we work independently like the tertiary level.
In EducAid we have what we call holistic. We've got holistic activities that not only focusing on our subject matters, but we need to think out of the box. You understand? Let us be general, because you're going out there, you don't know. What you've learned in class is not what you are going to implement out there. You need to be holistic.
Because in EducAid we are not only focusing on the book, but we're focusing on the attitude, the way you behave in a community, all to be a good citizen. We teach you all those things. So EducAid is far more different to other schools.
EducAid keeps on being asked to start new schools. We don't have the funding for that, but so we decided that the best thing we could do was to start supporting schools that are in existence and help them do a better job. So it's what we call the Quality Enhancement Programme. So it's trying to enhance the quality of the teaching and learning in the partner schools. So we don't work with individual teachers so much as engage with the whole school and their community and the children. We will work with any school that wants to work with us in trying to improve what they are delivering so that we can all come up. It's not about EducAid being the best and keeping them down. We are working at the moment with over 30 partner schools, primary schools at the moment, but we're progressing on to the junior secondary very soon to try and bring the standards up generally. That's what will bring us out of poverty.
So the Women's Project was established, as a project to empower the women. Because if you look into the Sierra Leonean culture, Africa to be specific, Sierra Leone as a case study, women always see themselves as inferior to men. So, and one of the mission of EducAid is really to empower women. They can do what men can do. Now the Women's Project has changed a lot of lives.
In Sierra Leone, women are always back. We always stand behind men. But EducAid is building up our capacity for us to be strong women and beautiful men in the future.
There was a guy in my area. He saw me when I was little and told my adopted dad, "Is she your daughter?" And he said yes. "Is she going to school?" And he said no. So she's brilliant. Why can't you send her to school? And my dad said, "Oh, in a tradition, you don't send girls to school, you send boys to school."
Sadly, the model for education has often been in the past looking after me, breaking out of my poverty, jumping camp from being among the poor to among the rich, which is also very often equivalent to jumping from being among the oppressed to among the oppressors, not really challenging that status quo. So an educadian would hopefully be actually challenging that status quo and remembering where they've come from, not willing to walk on who they need to climb the hill, but looking to see who they can take with them and bring them up as they go.
I'm not learning for myself alone, but I'm learning for my family and for the nation as a whole. Because in our country, there's a lot of corruption, but I believe if we have more educated, especially educadians, because we are fighting against corruption. If we are many in the country, we are educated, we'll be able to fight corruption in the country. So we are not only learning I'm not really learning for myself alone, but I'm learning for everybody to fight against corruption, to everybody in the nation as well. In the world, in any area that you find yourself, you just have to apply yourself, put more effort there. And I believe if I find myself in any job, I believe I will make it up with the experience I'm gaining in EducAid. So in any job that I face in the future, I will definitely make it.
Women of the future, we can do what men can do. Women of this nation, we can do what men can do. We are young and capable, we are young. With potential, we are young and zealous women of today. We are young and capable, we are young. With potential, we are young. The sky's the limit, women of today.